This is a symposium that is organized by the Esu and Satan Lagos chapter in collaboration with John Randu Center for Yoruba Culture and History.
Eriwoya wo de Shayṭān Babaláwo. Eriwoya ló ṣe fá fún wọn nífẹ̀ẹ́ tó kẹ̀lú bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́. Èèyàn tó pé ìwòyà ló ní àsìmí.
So we started by talking about God. Then we moved to religion. I would love to talk about the other side, which is Satan or Shayṭān. Yeah, because I feel like it's as if Shayṭān or Satan is the byproduct that comes naturally with our understanding of God. It's almost like you cannot understand God if you do not understand Shayṭān. And there's a reason why I'm starting with that before I move it into Yoruba. How Shayṭān, became an ambassador in Yoruba land. How do we explain, based on our religious understanding, the concept of Shayṭān? I want to start with you, Imam.
Yes, and in that case, please permit me to say again, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Well, Shayṭān or Satan or Satan as we know it, itself was a creation of God the Almighty. From the Quranic perspective, it used to be one of the great servant of God. And when God created Adam, it wasn't just Satan himself from the Quranic position in chapter 2 of the Holy Quran, the angel asked God, because they themselves are deep in knowledge, they said, why do you want to create a human being? This one we are going to spoil everything. They will go against your wish. This one will allow blood to be shed. And God said in reply, I know what you don't know. I'm giving you the Quranic narration in the beginning. But they were still cocksure that they, some of whom in their own understanding, haven't worshipped God for at the minimum thousands of years. What could be so special about this Adam? What do we understand the angels to be by definitions? They were told they don't eat, they don't sleep, they don't marry. All they do is to obey the words of God. Then why are you creating another human being? And then in the Quran we are told, God said, I know what you don't know. Then there's a competition. I'm going to give competition between you and him. And in the Quran we are told, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. God gave Adam the script. That is to say, God taught him and said, okay, you go into competition. By asking things the angel could not answer, and Adam were able to answer. And God was able to tell them that, look, in knowledge, this gentleman was superior than you are. Then he asked them to do obeisance to him. That is to agree that he's actually superior. All of them kowtowed to Adam, except Satan, who felt that, how can this being that is just created be much more than me? And he said no. So, what is therefore the problem of, how did the problem of Shayṭān started? It started from arrogance. Was he more knowledgeable? Possibly, yes. But he was arrogant. So that is why we are told by our prophet that any person who is full of himself should not expect the mercy of God in the day of judgment. It doesn't matter what you have. Because our understanding is that even in your knowledge, your prosperity are not necessarily because of your sagacity. Because even being sagacious itself is also a gift from God. So, from that, from his refusal to obey God's instruction to bow to Adam, he became the accursed. And we are told further in the Quran that he said, okay, I'm now the accursed. Please don't punish me until the day of judgment. Allow me to live. And said, he also asked for that. But I'm telling you, I'm going to cause confusion in this Adam and his descendant. I'm going to cause a lot of confusion. And God said, yes, you could be able to do that, but you'll not be able to succeed eventually with those who are my own, those who follow me. In summary, Satan therefore represents the creatures of God who decided to apostatize, who could not believe that somebody created in his presence is now giving much more value than him. So he said, no, I'm not going to accept. And that is how we believe that he is now in the position, capacity for he who does not want to follow the way of God is open also to follow the way of Satan. It's open. I'm not saying by not following the word of God. It's so if you are going to see who is therefore the real chief of anti-God from the Islamic perspective, it will be Shayṭān.
Thank you. Thank you. This is interesting. You know, when I mentioned that, you know, the whole concept of Shayṭān comes as a antithesis to your understanding or your belief in God. In Yoruba cosmology, I want to believe that, or let me just ask, I don't want to insinuate, what is the antithesis of Olodumare. Is there any such story? And I want you to use that as a way to pivot into the concept of issue.
Very much. Olodumare created, according to the creation story, Olodumare has been defined in Ifá as energy, universal, as an infinite source of energy that can manifest in any shape, form, or manner at any point in time, anywhere. However, the Yoruba spiritual cosmology also have a creation story. And I'm not going to delve deep into that, because if we start that, we will not leave here tonight. But one thing I want us to understand is that we believe in energies, we believe in lesser energies created by Olodumare, who we call Irumoles. There are 801 Irumoles in total. 200 permanently on the right-hand side of Olodumare, 200 permanently on the left-hand side of Olodumare, and 401 intertwined from the spiritual dimension to the physical dimension on various assignments as instructed and assigned by Olodumare. On no account in record and in history, in any of the 256 odus of Ifá, was it stated or said that there is any of these Irumoles that contested or grew to be defiant to the instruction of Olodumare. They all work in compliance to the essence of existence. Because spirituality, that's why I said the four major elements that makes what we call religion. If we can focus on one, then we will get the answers to all the questions, and all the mysteries and all the discrepancies that we have been having will have been resolved. Spirituality teaches and preaches essence. Physical teaches knowledge. Knowledge-based can be advanced, can be modified, can be thwarted, can be cancelled and recreated, because it is knowledge. And that's why we have different edited, revised editions of so many different scriptures, right? Because it is knowledge-based. And according to Ifá, we're meant to understand that the greatest and one of the most important creation of Olodumare is humanity. I don't need religion to teach me to be good or to be bad, because spirituality makes us understand that both good and bad are part of Olodumare's creation. Do you understand? And it went further to explain that humanity has the full spectrum of every good or bad tendencies, be it deviance or positive manifestation tendencies. That's what makes us human. Therefore, we must lessen down or tone down completely to the barest minimum the concept of condemnation. Because those who are condemned are dead alive, as far as I'm concerned. But those who are related to, as human beings, understanding that we are all humans, we all have the tendency to either be good or to be on the other side of events. For as long as, because what Olodumare created is that he made us understand that as human beings that you are, he gave us one thing called will. And that is the only thing we have power over. We have power over our own will. You can decide to be here or not. It is not any doctrine that says you must be here today to come and listen to what we are saying here. If it is religion, it must be attached to God. That, oh, if you are not here today, then you are not doing the will of God. No. Ifá does not say you must come to Ile Ijuba. If you like, come. We are doing religion for our own good. and to promote the cause of religion, not the cause of God. The cause of God is how we treat ourselves. Because one thing you need to understand is that, one thing we all need to understand is that creation, existence, in every form of it, functions under the principle of duality in order to maintain what? Balance. And what is that principle of duality? He created spiritual and physical. He created up and down, male and female, black and white, good or bad. And at every point in time, as human beings that we are, we need this. We are all spirits. That's the foundation. Before the spirit, before the physical. We are all spiritual before physical. And in the physical existence, we need what we call body. And the body is made up of what we call carbon. And carbon is made up of three elements: the neutron, the pluton, and the electron. The neutron element in you is the reason why somebody will do something to you. Naturally, you would have gotten angry. But the neutron element in you is overcharged at that point in time, then you act indifferent. But the same person will do the same thing another day, and you act angry. The electron element in you and your body is what is charged at that point in time, and you go angry. Now. So also, the pluton. So we can be neutral, we can be positive, negative, or neutral at any point in time. Therefore, if you see anybody telling you are bad, tell them I'm only a human being. Instead of you to correct me with love, don't condemn me. I can be better and become a better person tomorrow. Thank you.
Well, I need
go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm very excited and I'm glad people are clapping. You see, the thinking of today is not, it takes a lot of conversation out of the context of religion. And when we're staying within the context of religion, the first thing to know is that there is a creator who made you the way he wants you to be. And I'm speaking Christianity. He made us in his image. In his image, he made them male and female. When Yorubas talk about polarization of the world, the existence of Ibi and Ire is not that an entity is defined by Ibi and Ire. It is the reality of possibilities. Now, I'm going to speak to the question you asked about Esu and Satan. In Christianity, if you go to Genesis chapter 5 and Genesis chapter 8, there are clear descriptions about who Satan is. Satan clearly and is known to be the tempter. He tempted Adam and Eve and he made them go away. Satan is clearly cursed in the Bible. And so there is in the understanding of Christianity an element, a person, a creature called Satan, who characterizes evil, a departure from good. Now, the problem with Esu and Satan and the conversation is not whether there is a Satan in Christianity. Of course, there is a Satan in Christianity. The question is whether the Satan in Christianity is the issue. And that is a conversation that people should be having. Of course, the definition and characteristics of issue is not the same as Satan. But Satan is a real reality. And so when we're having a conversation that, when we're having a conversation that issue is not Satan, let nobody be deceived that there is no Satan. There is Satan. It is just that Satan is not issue. That's the first point to make. Now, when we begin to discuss, and I'm speaking as a Christian, God is not energy. Energy has its source. Energy is defined by its characteristics. That takes you away from this frame, the space of God. God in the Christian space is not an energy. God is the source of energy. And so when we are talking, that which made you, which is your source, is good. And that is God. And it's clear. And so when we speak about who you as a human being is, we're speaking as you as an image of your source, which is God, which is good. Now, can you depart from your source? Yes. That is where freedom lies. Now, even within the context of the religion of the Yorubas, there is Anyomo. Huh? Somebody can choose to be poor and your money. And when it comes to earth, he lives as a poor man. We tell him that he is bad. We tell and describe his lot as bad. But it's an Anyomo. It is what the person is destined to be. It is not bad. We have used it. And this is what we need to know about human language. We define, we qualify, and when we are tired of the definitions we've given to a concept, we move to another one. And that is why today, that which is bad to our parents is okay by us. It's just a function of language. And it's a function of reasoning. It's a function of concept. And so there is a movement when it comes to religion. And that's where I need us to be very careful. I teach religion. There is a movement to tell Africans that they do not have a religion. You do have a religion. And that's why I made that distinction at the beginning. That there is a fundamental difference between that which is revealed, and that's what defines religion, and that which you do with it. That is what those that practice the religion do with it. They can be good, they can be bad, they can be knowledgeable, they can be experts, they can be mediocres in the religion. And they can be faithful, they may not be faithful to what has been revealed. Now don't get deceived by, oh, there is no religion, there's spirituality. What is the difference between religion and the spirituality? If you don't mind me just getting into that, and I'll do it quickly. And there are things that have been written. Religion is formal, structure. Spirituality is an element of religion. That's why you have multiple spiritualities. There's a Christian spirituality, there's an African spirituality. So spiritualities are products of religion. And that is why one functions within a context. And that is why when I bring my spirituality into the mosque, they will look at me and say, haha, what's going on here? But that's my spirituality. So it's good for us to make clear definitions of all of these things and to be wary of new interpretations and new colonizations of ideas when it comes to things that are either religious or spiritual.
So, some quick intervention, please. I think we must first understand the fact we don't have to agree on all issues. We don't have to agree. And actually, that should be the basis of the discussion here. Yes. Because we won't agree on all the issues. Otherwise, the world will be very boring. I don't agree.
This conversation
I don't agree. Yeah. The world itself. We don't have to agree on all issues. I'm not saying that we don't have to. I mean, for instance, for some, when you are going to a wedding, if I want to go to a wedding and I'm in suit, people will be surprised what is happening today. Do you understand what I'm saying? But whereas there's nothing wrong about that. I'm saying we don't have to agree on all the issues. I don't also agree that God is energy. I don't agree. I think, in my opinion, the God that I know, that is reducing its capacity. I'm not saying the man who believes is wrong or right. I'm saying this is my understanding. There are so many ways I can describe God, and I think it's just to summarize that He has power over all things. He is the one who directs such energy. And again, You see, when you say what is religion, religion is an embodiment of information. And like it's been said, for every people of every faith, there have been the good, the bad, and the ugly. There are people who have used religion as a way to oppress people. They're still using that. They're still doing that either in Nigeria or elsewhere. But to say that you can have guidance without a body of information is deceitful. If there is no information about a concept, you just say that because you are born, you know what is good, you may actually be doing what is wrong. I don't want to be judgmental, but now some people believe that it's illegally, right? I mean, it's possible for a man to marry a man, for a woman to marry a woman. I'm not judgmental, but I'm saying from the Yoruba purpose that we know, that would be wrong. How do I know it is wrong? It is because I have the information in Islam. Otherwise, I could wake up and say, well, I like this gentleman, I'm proposing to him. How do I know that I cannot do so in Islam? Is because there's information given to me that you can only marry a woman. So, if you understand the knowledge of Islam that deep, you will see that even in your economy, there are guidance. For instance, I'm not supposed to run an interest economy. If I want to do business with you, it's against Islam. So I have information that guides me. As far as that is concerned, I can only do partnership with you where we swim or sink together. I can't do business with you while I am the only one on the positive side. Whether you lose or you gain, it doesn't matter. No, I cannot. I'm not allowed to be an addict of drug or anything that intoxicates. How do I know? I get the information from Islam. So, there are indeed a lot of information that guides human, that quickly allow you to know whether you can go right or left, not just by your intuition only. You must have a corpus of information where you can be properly guided. And that to me, why it is. For us, God the Almighty did not just ask us to worship Him. He gave us information. This information is in the Quran and in the collections of the statement of the Prophet. And I agree that sometimes when you put three people together, one will say, this what I read means A. Another person will mean it means A plus. The other person may say it means minus A. That is the human element, which there's nothing anybody will be able to do to say that will not happen. That's why I'm saying we cannot agree on all issues, because the way we have been so wired, we are wired differently, that we can read the same thing. I can be looking at this crowd and I say the people there are many, and some say these people today, they didn't come here. That's human nature.
Thank you. So keep thinking about your question.
Thank you very much, sir.
Last words.
One of my teachers would say, listen and listen good, for I am responsible for what I say, not what you understand, or not what you deliberately misinterpreted what I said out of context. When I was going to define Olodumare, I said, and I'm going to repeat, which at the end of the day, I'm glad my daddy, Prof, actually also said the same thing, maybe inadvertently. I said, Olodumare is the infinite source of energy that manifested every other energies, including you and I. And he said, God is the source of energy. He's not energy, right? That being said, Satan and Esu. If we are going to do justice to this topic, we might not live here But at the end of that, but be it as it may, the truth must be said, irregardless of, however it comes. You see, the idea of Esu being referred to as Satan that prompted the campaign that was dated 11 years back now, which we are going to do another one tomorrow, is that, picturing the idea of God as more or less, I'm being careful using some certain words, but I'm going to go straight to the point. What I'm trying to say in essence is this: spirituality teaches understanding and accountability. If we believe that, and I'm talking to every one of us here, if we still believe that there is an energy somewhere that is pushing you or prompting you to do bad against the will of God, then we are still trading in self-denial and deceit. We are the concept of Satan within ourselves. Because Olodumare that has created humanity has given us a power over our own will. You can decide to do right or do wrong at any point in time without any interjection of any spirituality. The only way any spiritual energy comes in is the manifestation of the consequence of your own decision, and not to be blamed on any energy or any spirit. I have not seen anybody that will work from the beginning of the month, and at the end of the month you collect your salary, you will now find somebody and give that money to that person. No. You only, and then after you give that money to that person, you get home and begin to tell stories to your wife, and then you now come back to your senses that Eshuma ti shemi mo ti ko mi lo fun money Gerald owo osu ti mo pa. I've given it to them at Gerald. Eshu has never pursued, Satan has never pursued anybody or instigated or influenced anybody to do that. It is when you allow greed and you allow selfishness and you've allowed covetousness to take over the moral and ethical doctrines as outlined by Olodumare, to take over the better part of you. That is when you go and do what you are not supposed to do. And then until you are caught. The funny part is this: when we are doing it and we are being successful at it, nobody remembers that we are being influenced by Esu or Satan. It is the moment we are caught. I'm sorry, it is the work of the Shayṭān. It is the work of Satan. There is no Satan anywhere influencing or instigating you to do anything wrong. It is your own doing. And until humanity begins to be accountable for our actions and be responsible for our inactions, we will continue to put the blame on one imaginary energy. That is one. Then secondly, I want to add to the knowledge of our prof on the concept of Anyomo. Anyomo is an element, is one of the elements of what we call Ikpe, which is destiny. Destiny is a composite of three major elements: Akunleyo, Akunleba, and then the third one is Ayomo. And quickly, I'm going to explain these three. What is Akunleyo? Akunleyo means that which we chose while kneeling down. My Akunleyo is to choose whether or not I want to live in Lagos. My Akunleyo is to choose whether or not I want to live in Nigeria. My Akunleyo is to choose whether or not I want to marry from Yoruba land. My Akunleyo is to choose whether or not I want to marry from Igbo land. That is the one I choose myself, according to Ifá. Then, as we are choosing, the second element comes to play: Akunleba. That is, Akunleba is that which is added onto the one you have chosen to complement that which you have chosen. Now, I'll break that down also. If I have chosen to live in Lagos, we are all living in Lagos, but it is not by our power. Everybody, if we all have to design it, everybody wants to live in VGC, or to live in Ikoyi, or to live in Magodo, where I live, or to live in Ikeja. But Akunleba is that which is added onto that which you have chosen. To live in Lagos, yes, but to complement that which you have chosen, that is what will direct each and every one of us to wherever it is we live. And that is where we are going to manifest the best of our essence on earth. Then, and your mom, which Prof was saying, is the one that cannot be changed. Mind you, Akuleyon, Akuleba can be changed at any point in time. That is why you need spirituality. If this Lagos I'm living, I don't like it, or I want Abuja, what can I do to get to Abuja? You can change that. Akuleba, to marry from Igbo, but this one that I have married, what can I do to promote this one that I have married from the Igbo land to become a better person to become a better version of ourselves, so that we can enjoy ourselves together. If I've chosen to eat rice, God can decide to give my own rice in Ofada. You can eat yours in fried rice. You can eat yours in jollof rice.
Ghana jollof.
Ghana jollof rice. Thank you. You understand? That is Akuleba, to beautify, to add comfort, to add luxury, to add beauty, to add infinite source of enjoyment to that which you have chosen. That is Akuleba. Then Anyomo is the one that you cannot change, which Prof was saying. Anyomo is that which was attached unto you. It can never be changed. Example of your Anyomo is your father, your mother, the country in which you were born. You can't change that. The worst you can do is to have multiple nationality, dual nationality. You cannot change where you are born. You cannot change your DNA. And that is why I totally disagree that I am a descendant of somebody that is not related to me, which my own DNA can produce the DNA of those whom he came from. You understand? Because the black people, the black race has the mitochondrial DNA. And this is the only DNA that produces every other race. And that is why a black man and a black man will copulate and give birth to an albino, a genetically mutilated skin color that produces every other color. I've never seen where a white man and a white man are copulated and produce a black. It has never happened. So if anything so-called war had existed, I think it begins here. And we must start to talk about the cause of existence starting from here and transported to the other side to every part of the world. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to say something?
A quick one. I also believe in destiny, which is the English word of the word qadar. Like I used to say, the Yoruba are good at borrowing words, and Yoruba certainly borrowed many Arabic words, and it has stuck. So when somebody says kadara, it's actually speaking Arabic, because kadara is an Arabic word from the word qadar. When the Yoruba say sababire, sababin gotufari, it's from the Arabic word sabab. So, but the original word qadar is what I can literally translate as destiny. Is suggesting those things that are beyond your power. And from human nature, we have found that there are people that are very industrious, and yet they always get to the right place at the wrong time. Yeah, the wrong time. And some people are not as hardworking, but they get to the right place at the right time. And that is where destiny plays quite a lot of role. I also need to explain the fact that when we say that there is Satan, it's not denying there's accountability. In fact, that is why we said that one of the first foundations the Muslim must have is that there will be a day of resurrection. And the day of resurrection only has meaning in the sense that that is the day you are going to give account of whatever you have been able to do. They are not exclusive of each other. They are mutually exclusive, I mean to say. So the fact that we believe that Shayṭān exists does not mean that we deny the fact that if you do right, you are not going to be rewarded, or if you do wrong, you are not going to be so punished. And that is why even a part of the information in Islam is that there are rules that if you disobey you are meant to be punished even here in this world, not just in the hereafter. For instance, if you kill another person, you have to be killed. If you do banditry, you are meant to be dealt with. It's not to say that it's my destiny that allow me to go and kidnap, I mistakenly take the money. No, you are supposed to get the judgment of your land first before you transported to the world beyond when you give account. I just want to say the fact that we are allow that there exists Satan does not mean that we said that you won't be accountable for all your deeds. And I've said also in the beginning, our concept of Satan is not what we understand to be the Yoruba concept of issue. So those are not discussions that, in my opinion, that should be side by side.
Thank you.
If you want to discuss the issue, I'm not an authority on that. I have no knowledge about issue. But if we are talking about Satan or Shayṭān, that is what I know. And I've come to understand that Satan and issue are not the same. So bring the discussion, that is what I said at the beginning. So when you now ask me to be put them side by side, it's asking me to come and discuss physics or chemistry. I have no knowledge about it. I didn't have knowledge about it. I don't believe in it. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. I don't believe in it. I don't worship it. I worship God.
Thank you very much. And I think, yeah, you can clap, please. On my own side of the question asking, I think that's it. To disrespect issue or Isheshe people. I think that's a very, very abstract question to ask anybody, because I'm sure Imam is not his mosque that invented that disrespect. I don't think it's reverend, and I don't think Babalawo will be able to correct that either. But I think the event that we are having here is already in the direction of understanding. We are not a legal entity to sue anybody that says Esu is Satan. We are just adding to the knowledge deficit about what brought about that kind of situation. So I think it will be impossible to allow anybody go deep. Sorry, sir.
I'm ready.
I will drop it. I'm just summarizing so that like that, we only answer one time so that we don't have to keep going back and forth on all the questions. Then on accountability, I think that one came up a couple of times, that if we all say that God is almighty and is infinite in his understandings and in his doings, how is Satan still powerful enough to make humans go in to influence human decisions? Then this one said Eshumashemi. Then where does it exist in view of Satan? Because the one Mashewa, it sounds almost like Satan Mashewa as well. So all of that needs to be responded to. Then to the Imam, the belief in afterlife. If God already believed in destiny, why punish us afterwards? The problem of exporting, which is a bit similar to what I said initially, because especially for Yorubas who are also exporting their religion into other lands where people do not speak Yoruba, and now they also pray in Yoruba, and they also worship in Yoruba language. So is that not enough space for us to learn tolerance about some Arabic people that did exactly the same thing some years back, or some Catholics that did exactly the same thing some years back? How do we justify that if we are not able to understand the other people doing similar stuff in our own land? I feel like this will be a summary of all the questions that we heard. I don't want to say you take this one, you take that one. Just let's respond on what really speaks to us in all of that. You want to start?
The first question, saying that how do we address the disrespect and the condescending upon, and the malignment of the image of Isheshe practitioners, right? In my own view, I'm going to say that I am not disrespected in any way. According to what Ifá had said, Ifá says that the truths had always been unflinching. It does not move. And it might take what seems like a lie or what seems like an inconsistent, which has been bringing a lot of questions, because whatever it is that is inconsistent, it brings about more questions than answers. And when you begin to ask questions inconsistently, then you are getting to the root of answer, right? I would speak in the context of that question to we traditionalists more. We don't owe anybody explanations, defensive explanations for that matter. What we owe ourselves, not to anybody, is to expose more the moral and ethical aspect of our spirituality. That our spirituality can make and can as well break. And you are going to use the points in which you think they have been using against you to further educate them. They said our spirituality is devilish because it has the ability and potency to manifest that which is inexplicable to the missionaries when they came on the early days of their evangelism mission. And anything that a woman cannot explain, it demonized. And that was how our spirituality gained that status, that unfortunate status of demonization. Yes, we have Aluwo. Yes, we have Betu. Yes, we have Ewon Shokono. Yes, we have Bante. Yes, we have Ifunpa Onde. These, you are going to tell them that these are our forebears' spiritual technology to create defense mechanism to defend and protect our territory. Because the reason why we have two hands is to build with one and to protect with the other. Just the same way those who have been physically inspired and spiritually inspired to create the concept of religion, they have also been physically inspired to create technology that has produced gun, that has produced atomic bomb. And I don't think, even in today's world, the number of people that gun, an atomic bomb, and nuclear war heads had killed in a year alone is nothing compared to what our own Betu has killed. Is nothing compared to what our own Aluwo has killed. Is nothing compared to what our own Bante has killed. Therefore, Betu in the wrong hands can be detrimental to the society. It is not the handwork of devil or Satan. It is human beings to gain power and to claim territory. Aluwo in the wrong hands can do the same thing. Just like gun in the wrong hands can enter here now and shoot. The same way the securities that are securing this place also depend on gun to defend and to secure. It is called defense mechanism. And at the end of the day, we are talking about one common denominator here. It is human beings. So let us begin to search our conscience. The power that you have the knowledge that you have, how are you using it? It is not Satan. It is not Satan. Thank you. You're welcome. Imam.
The first question again is about showing being disrespectful. Well, I don't disrespect any human being. When I ask people who say they are being disrespected of, is to show more self-confidence. If you don't show self-confidence in anything you are doing, you have opened the gate to be disrespected. What I know, like I started in my statement earlier on, we will not look at issue the same way. There's no power. In fact, it is God the Almighty that says so in the Holy Quran, that whether you like it or not, you will not look at issues absolutely in the same way. Once we agree to that, I will agree to the fact that till the day of judgment, till the day that the heart cease to exist, there will be people who will believe in what you said now, there will be people who will not believe in it. I remember that I was telling you that my great-great-grandfather was a Shango worshipper. But in his wisdom, he is the one who chose in those distant times what his children should do. He remained a Shango worshipper. He asked his people to join him. He determined and said, look, you follow the Ifá, you follow the Christian. And I remember that I told you that I used to sing. And that song, which is over 200 years old, has come back to us. When the man will say, wọ́n ní kéwú, mo ti lọ lé kéwú, wọ́n ní eré ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì, mo ti lọ gbàdúrà. Àdúrà mi máa gbà, mi ò bọ́ lọ́hùn yóò di o. Àdúrà mi máa gbà, mi ò bọ́ lọ́hùn yóò di. But the man remained a Shango worshipper till this day. But he asked his children to go right or to go left. So the same way, I don't disrespect anybody, including those who are agnostic, who does not even believe God exists. So to be respected, you have to get respect is not gifted. You have to work for it. And I think that's what everybody should understand. To be respected is not donated. You have to show capacity to be respected. And I think that answers it all. You must show capacity to be respected. You cannot be respected on account of the fact that you are asking for it.
Thank you.
As to the fact that God has power over all things, I don't think it's a question that is debated even by the three of us panelists here. We have said God has power over all things. The fact that he has power sometimes does not mean he will use it the way you wanted him to use it. Now, we have said repeatedly, if there is no accountability, there will not be the need to believe in resurrection. Because the very essence of a believing in resurrection is to say that on that day, you shall be called to account. But that does not remove the fact that Satan also is his creature. Just like you have children too, sometimes you love all your children, and then some still decide to defy your orders. It does not mean you didn't love them after all. When tests come to us, it does not mean because God does not like us. It's our power to pass that test that will ensure that we get promoted. So when we get afflicted, when we get challenged, our ability to remain straight to the right course is what will earn us, make us qualify to get better judgment in the day of judgment. I thank you all.
All right, very quickly, I got a very interesting question that you left about, is God, it's for me a lot of, is God male or female? That's just a very secularistic way of looking at God. God is not genderized. God is not body that disintegrates. God cannot be defined by material things. So when I say God made you in his image, I mean it clearly. And this is what is meant. In your is Eli and Ara. Your Ara is not the image of God, because it's multiple. You're a me, he made you a me. Go to Yoruba creation story. The Orishas made the body, and Olodumare gave you a me. That's the image. And so when you're asking questions about, oh, does God make us like this? That's secularism stepping into the sacred space. And they don't mix water and oil. And the caveat I want us to all have, the young people, is that they take your language and they give you their language. They take your arguments, they give you their arguments. If you are going to do Isheshe, do Isheshe. Go and learn the old, learn what Orunmila says, learn what the Orishas are, learn exactly what it is. It's not what the way they want you to think about. It is clear, it is divine, it is that. I've written more books and articles in my life about Isheshe. So when you're talking about disrespect, I have Babalawos that are my friends on telephone calls. I have written, I engage them regularly. What we're doing here today is a step towards it. That I can even tell you about Isheshe is to tell you that we're working hard. But every religion has got its creed. The creed is what tells you this is what you can do as a Muslim. This is what you can do as a Christian. And as an Onisheshe, this is what you can do. It does not mean that one should condemn the other. And we need to get to that perspective. So until we get to that, we're not going to make a lot of progress. So don't let anybody tell you, oh, and then the context. Do we practice a religion because God has revealed it in different ways to different people? Yes. He has revealed it does not mean it cannot it cannot move. It cannot move from place to place because it is still the same God that is going to be spoken, understood, lived in the different ways. It's just going to be about different expressions of doing this. So it's good for us to have all of this. Conversation is very beautiful, and it's for us to know that we have perspectives about the same thing, and it's not something that anyone should be care about. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would like to still maybe so that you can have the last word. The guy that spoke about transporting consciousness, right? Do you remember that question?
Of course.
Yeah, please, if you can address that quickly.
That is why I said something earlier. I think many of the questions have been answered, but I'm going to, rephrase it in a more clarified context. And I said that Ifá spirituality is a knowledge and understanding based practice, for whom divination is done for. Right from the moment the owl had casted the Odu, it will not stop there. It goes further down to probe further on the purpose. Why? On the contextual purpose, not just peripheral purpose. Contextual purpose, why the person had come for divination. It will probe further on the orientation of that Odu. Abi, Ire, which still teaches us and confirms the principle of duality, Ibi and Ire. So if the Odu and the determinants comes up, revealed it as Ire, that is telling the Babalawo in what area to analyze, because in each Odu we have over 1,600 and something essays that talks about not just humanity, but everything that Olodumare created that has come in contact to man, be it animate or inanimate. Therefore, I will not cast an Odu and then, without probing it further, to begin to analyze what is talking about sand, what is talking about sand, stone. It must be direct to the purpose why that person had come for divination. Therefore, is an exchange between the diviner and the subject that has come for the divination. And right from the moment I begin to analyze the Odu, the person, the subject must say something called Baba Ejano. You don't need to tell me the reason why you have come for the divination. This is the difference. It is not that God revealed to me that you do this, and that. I have come, you have divined, and it is mathematic in nature. And my analysis and interpretation must hit the nail on the head without you standing up. You understand what I'm saying? So if you have come to Nigeria, because another thing we need to understand is this: for avoidance of misconception and misrepresentation and misunderstanding of what is happening in the world right now, Babalawo has not gone to preach the gospels of Ifá to anybody in the world, in any part of the world. They have always been the one to come. After they come, they learn, they go back, create their own community, and invite and pay for the Babalawos. I'm saying it in front of the world right now. I have not paid a dime of my money to travel to any part of the world on the basis of my spiritual obligation. I am also a travel consultant. My travel business has taken me far and wide in this world, out of my own pocket. But my spiritual obligation has never taken me to anywhere, because they understand the essence of what we are teaching. They understand the value of what we are teaching. It has manifested to them over and over and over again, for them to have been convinced that it is worth them dipping their hands into their pocket to book my ticket to Trinidad, $3,000 or more, to come and teach. And I believe that there are Babalawos here who can say the same thing about their spiritual, about their priesthood journey to different parts, to various parts of the world. It is people who seek for the truth, and the truth will reveal itself to them even before you stand up. My father will say that if I cast Ifá for you and I analyze the Odu to you, and it does not relate to the purpose why you have come here, the next thing you should do is to pick your money that you have come to use for divination, because that effort is an effort in futility, and you should not pay such money. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that's it from this side. Where are the ampers so that we can give our guests? It's Christmas, so we are also giving Yoruba Christmas gifts. All right. Thank you very much.